In we go again. Hey everybody, welcome to my second part of making a Secret of Mana inspired t-shirt design based on a piece of Wil Overton's original artwork in Superplay magazine, which was featured on the cover of issue 25 way back when in November 1994. This video is going to be a speed draw. It's a time lapse of just watching me at work, really. So there is actually going to be a third part to this video which will show the final result. So the drawing's been going really well, as you can probably see on the screen here, and been getting on with a good amount of progress. And to start with, I was finishing off my sketch. So with this video, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out some useful little tips that will perhaps help you when you're perhaps designing some of your own artwork using an application like Sketchbook Pro. I know this is a bit of an unusual series in a way, because obviously this isn't technically retro, but it's retro because it's a manga drawing of a retro game, Secret of Mana. So yes, the pencil sketching is going well, and I guess the main thing for you to do is just sit back, relax, watch the action, and every now and then I'll point out a few tips. Here's one just here actually, where you might see me drawing the arm to the back of Randy, which is lunging backwards as he's running forwards. What I'll do here is, rather than drawing a layer which I was drawing Randy on, so I'll create a new layer, and then what I can do is I can draw lines as if to work out sort of like the body position of how it would actually look. So rather than guessing where his arm would actually lunge backwards, you can use another layer, and then you can rub out the lines and then merge it all back in together. So I'm never too proud to do that. You'll have also seen that I use the selection tool with a bit of rotation just to slightly correct the position of his hand. Again, because I'm kind of sketching this on the fly rather than working out the exact proportions and that, I'm kind of really doing this by eye. So rather than sort of working out the exact proportions of his limbs, his body in relation to his head size, etc., because I'm sort of kind of copying this piece of artwork, it's kind of just transferring what I see onto screen, or as it is in some cases to paper, but in this case obviously we're in Sketchbook Pro. Again, you can see that I used another little bit of the selection tool there just to move a little bit of the limbs around, and it can just make things a little bit easier sometimes rather than erasing the whole layer and starting again. Also, you notice that I've drawn the sphere in, but obviously I don't know whether it's straight yet, but when it comes to inking, that will be corrected. The other thing you'll notice is I've actually brought the 3 layers for the 3 characters closer together now. So whereas originally they were a little bit further apart, now that I've actually got their faces established and a good amount of their torsos and their bodies, I've actually brought those layers a little bit closer together again, erased the overlapping lines and started to sort of draw them in situ in the position that they should be in. I really love this character of Poppy. It's never really sort of determined exactly what gender he or she is, but they're really cool, whatever, so it's kind of cute really. I know my drawing's a little bit different to Wil Overton's original. I think my faces are just a little bit taller, but this doesn't really bother me too much. I think probably it's just more my style rather than anything. So, and I think that's important actually when you're drawing, particularly if you're copying something which you're really inspired by but you want to put your own spin on it, is not to be afraid to do things with your own style. And this is something that over many years of drawing that I've kind of established what my usual style is. So whilst Popoy's and Prim's faces may actually look a little bit taller compared to Wil Overton's original piece of artwork, this is probably a bit more in keeping with my style of doing things. So but there's no right or wrongs in this. You just do what's right, whether you want to do a straight copy or whether you want to sort of apply your own style but within the framework of the original drawing. Again, here you'll notice that I've actually redrawn Prim's hand quite a few times. Again, sometimes I just don't get it right, the proportions aren't right. And so I'm always adjusting sketches because it's much easier to do this now than it is once you've actually finally inked the picture. Again, here you'll notice that I was just working out how Popoy's cloak is actually flowing. And now I've skipped out a lot of the inking process because you would be watching this for hours, because this is probably the most difficult part of the whole process, even including the colouring, because it requires a lot of precision strokes, and you get it wrong sometimes, you have to go back, erase, try the stroke again. But the thing with inking is that you usually do it in a few sittings, but with each sitting you start off a little bit stiff, but then you loosen up when your shoulder moves, your wrist moves, and then you find that you've got your flow of your graphics tablet and that you can do those straight, nice smooth strokes. I'm not perfect by any means, but generally speaking it can take a few attempts to get some of the more difficult lines just right. But obviously being this on a computer, you can use the erase tool, you're not having to use lots of correcting fluid, so I think this is my saving grace actually. These trouser legs of Prim's were actually really quite difficult because parts of the original artwork were actually covered up by the headline and various strap lines on the cover of the magazine, so I've had to use my best guess, and sometimes I've actually got this wrong. And for example, the back of Prim's calf muscles is actually underneath her thigh, but I've not actually drawn this in at this stage, so you'll see in a moment that I go back to correct that as I work out what's going on with the drawing. Now that I've got most of it inked, you'll notice that I'm actually correcting just little gaps and so forth, and just adding little flourishes here and there that will just help make the drawing flow better. And this is where I'm going to correct Prim's trouser leg. A lot of this may look actually quite strange when it's just inked, but the shading will help bring it out. So you can see that the process is a bit time consuming. This probably took me a few hours, but it's really enjoyable and nobody can take that away from you. And here's the final result. So now in the next episode I'll be showing you the inking and all the colouring. So I guess all that remains for me to say is see you soon.